like the wind is coming from this side. Let's see. Let's see. All right, give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me. If you can hear me okay. Let's see, gracious as God has tapped in. Welcome, welcome. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Gracious as God, welcome, welcome. Still windy. Is it better if the Galexia? Is it better or no? I switched my earpiece. Let me know if it's better. I'm gonna put my head wrap down over it. And if it's too windy, then I'll go get in the car and chime back in and talk to you all. Wa alaikum salam, sis. Let me know if it's still too windy for you to hear me clearly. Okay, gracious as God says she can hear well. It's better with the earpiece. Okay, great. Praise be to Allah. All right, so yeah, I find myself as a consultant and a coach. I feel like I'm in a Zoomverse sometimes. Back in the day, old school consulting, like we literally would go to the client, and I spent probably 7 years on the road, just going to okay, in the Galaxia. You said nah what I forgot what I asked you. I know I probably asked you something, but anyway, back in the day I would spend time on the road, like for about 7 years straight. I was on the road going from client to client to client, and going from country to country. Allah just like scooped me up and would move me around. And nowadays, a lot of the consulting work that I do with people is, via Zoom. Like I'll go in and sometimes I'll do an analysis of the company depending on what they want. Sometimes they'll send me all of their financials and information on whatever problem they're dealing with, and we put all of that together. Other times, it's individual entrepreneurs that I get that want to do coaching. Sometimes they want to do one-on-one. Sometimes they want to do it online. And I'm telling y'all, the online stuff just gets old. So when this particular client said to me today that he wanted to do his session out here on the lake, I was elated because I was already nearby, and I was like, look, I'm good. I don't have to go to a coffee shop to talk to you. And he had just recently gotten laid off, and so we were just trying to pull some spiritual things together to tie his spirituality into his ability to manifest. And something that popped up is the same thing that popped up for me on our experience rep call last night, where for those of you who don't know, I'm working to build and complete the building of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. And we have been selling coins and raising funds, the final 387,000. And it's one of those projects that presents a challenge to a lot of people. And somebody asked her, somebody in the mosque that she goes to, said to her, why are you helping her? And so when my client talked about how he really felt that he had been, talked about so much on his last job, and it was just so bad that actually to get laid off or let go was a relief. And I said, well, let's talk about how you process people talking about you or saying things about you. And because, and many of you all who know me, I don't talk about anything in theory. So I don't go look stuff up on the internet and say, hey, let me talk about this today or that today. It's always something that I've either dealt with, had to overcome, and working to master, or I've kind of gotten down the road a little bit. I don't call myself a master in anything. But so everything I do is from experience. I tell people that I bought and paid for these experiences, so I may as well give the game away. So I give out free game. I charge for services. So in his particular case, we sat down. We were reviewing his business plan, and I was talking to him about some of the risks that I saw associated with his plan. And he really started to go deep into how much people were talking about him. And I told him, I said, you know what? I said, let me tell you something. I said, there's some things I know about myself, and then there's some things I'm working on. One thing about me, I don't really care what somebody say about me. I try to be conscious of my image, and I'm not a ratchet person or a crazy person, so I don't go out and do weird stuff. But if you talking about me, asking my poor experienced reps questions like, why you helping her? Listen, I could care less. You can get off this call and go talk to your mama. I don't care what you say or anybody else. And I was telling him, I said, I'm the kind of person, I'm just going to push through. I'm going to persevere. If it's something I need to get better with, then I'm going to get better with. I'm going to tweak it. But other than that, you've got to break yourself out of this habit of being impacted by people who talk about you. Most people nowadays don't have no business. They don't have nothing to do, or they make it their business to just simply talk about folks. And so what I learned to do is you want to temper the information that you may give certain people. You know, you may have to adjust. If you know you got somebody that you know run their mouth, then you might have to adjust the information you give them. But please, people, when you're on your journey, you're going through what you're going through, don't be tripping on people who want to talk about you. I don't care if they in the church, in the mosque. I think sometimes spiritual people, we fall into that trap because we are always just so focused on what somebody got to say. Focused on our image. Listen, if you're doing something, people going to have something to say. If you're doing something bad, they probably going to have something to say. But if you're doing something good, they're probably going to have something to say about you. And so you got to work through that mentally, and you can't allow yourself to be impacted by somebody having something to say. You got to be really, really mindful of that kind of thing. And so he and I were having that conversation, and I was like, talk to me about what it means to you when people say things about you. He says, well, I don't like people to see my faults. I said, well, anybody who can see one another's faults. So let's get over that. You're not perfect. But we started to go through a chain of conversations that he was having with himself whenever people would talk about him. And those chain of conversations that kind of just snowball one after another was just something that was impacting him and literally preventing him from starting his business. And I gave him an example. When we first started building the surgery centers and the clinics, guess where my office was? My office was in the closet. And people would come to meet with me and be looking around like, why is our office in the closet? I didn't care because we needed space. We ran out of space. We had more employees. We needed to hire people. People needed a place to sit. And I went and sat in the closet. Now, people who came to visit me in D.C. and saw me with an office in the closet, who knew that I had come from the consulting world and I had a nice office here downtown in Chicago with a beautiful view, to see me go from that to in the closet gave them something to talk about. So they talked about me. And whether they talked about me in their head, and they probably thought, okay, this is a mistake, she's crazy, something is wrong with her. But a lot of people just can't see the vision. I ended up going from that to, once we built the hospital, experience with said that somebody in the mosque said to her, well, why are you helping her? And I said, wow. I said, anybody that asks you that question, and they're supposed to be a spiritual person, you don't have to answer that. You don't have to even dignify that with an answer. Because if you can't look at what a person is doing and think that it's of good, think that it's something that you want to do, first of all, nobody has to own who you help. But if you can't look at that, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even speak like this, but if you can't look at what I'm doing and see that it's good, and see that it's something that is valuable, that is needed, and you got to ask that question, you probably shouldn't buy a coin and you probably shouldn't give your money. Or if you really want to, then give your money and buy a coin and then see what happens. See the good, see the value in it. But I tell people all the time, you don't have to get into arguments and debates with people. Some things are obvious. Now, if you want to show and y'all decide y'all want to debate some religious form, but I don't have religious arguments with people. When it comes to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I don't try to convert people, because the history is the history. I just so happen to be a believer. I just so happen to believe it. But you don't have to in order to be someone that preserves history. You may not be about entrepreneurs, but I do a lot of preservation work around people who are some of the first black freedmen and free people and free entrepreneurs. You may say, I'm not really feeling that. Well, you ain't got to feel it, but it's history. And that's the beautiful thing about being charged with preserving history. The history is the history. It don't really matter what you think. You should be about preserving history. We should be preserving any amount of history related to our people, our sojourn here in America. We should be working on preserving that. Why? Because guess what? ChatGPT ain't gonna have your accurate history in it. So y'all worried about ChatGPT? Guess what? If you don't give it the data to put in it, then you won't even exist. 50, 60 years ago, when the children are saying, who is so-and-so, so-and-so? You'll be nothing. You'll be mentionless. You'll be nothing, because your information and who you are, your history is not going to be in ChatGPT. So let's preserve our history. And don't worry about what people have to say. Those first people who built cities and settlements, there's so many stories of black freedmen. Some of them I posted on my profile, who built banks and homes and did a lot of things, almost like Noah's Ark. And folks talked about them. Can you imagine the people who still was sharecropping but who was afraid to come live in some of the new black settlements? Can you imagine what they said about them? Man, they crazy. I ain't going over there to live with them. They nuts. These white folks gonna kill them. They this and that, blah, blah, blah. But they never would have accomplished what they've accomplished. And the beautiful blessing is that we now get an opportunity to learn about them, learn what they endured, learn where they came from. And it's inspiring to me. When I think about people like Annie Malone driving down the streets of St. Louis in 17 in a Rolls Royce worth $17 million. To me, that is inspirational. Yes, you're right, gracious is God. Look at how they talked about Harriet Tubman. They talked about her like a dog. She got called ugly. She got called illiterate. She got called crazy because she would have these spiritual experiences where she would fall out. People thought she was crazy. She eventually had her second husband, who was 15 years younger than her. got to get over that and keep rolling. You got to get over that and keep moving. Let me tell you, one of the biggest mistakes we make is that when God gives us a vision, He gives us a mission, we keep praying and we don't move out. We have a strong desire in our heart. We have a strong mission in our heart, something we really want to do. We believe in our heart of hearts that it's from God. But instead of moving out on it, what do? We sit around and just keep praying. Oh, well, I'll make it clear, make it plain. He's like, look, I done told you. So when Allah gave me the vision, I moved out on it. And I put my chips on it. I had a real serious out-of-body experience when I first started the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. I had gone to Las Vegas for I was meeting with this millionaire business hypnotist, and he had invited me to the mansion, and then we went to this event in Las Vegas, but the mansion was in Las Vegas. And when I was there at the hotel right before, probably the third day, the night before the third day, so like the second night, we were going back to the mansion the next day. I started imagining these millionaire mindset events happening inside of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Here I was there, and I'm just kind of watching how they're doing these millionaire mindset 2-3 day retreats. There's maybe 13 of us, and we're there. And so on that second night, a lot of people went off to the casino, and I don't gamble, so in fact about it, I can't stand casinos. The only thing I like about casinos are the hotels that are connected to them, because one of my dreams is to own a luxury hotel. So I love looking at the decor, but I'm not a casino person. I'm not one of those Muslims that sneaks up in the casinos. My family, who are pretty much all casino people, they'll tell you, I don't go. So this particular day, I just went to my room. I went to chill. I wanted to just kind of absorb what I was feeling. And I had this really serious and interesting vision. And I dreamt that I was at some kind of gambling table that had this green felt. And on the felt, there was a dealer at one end, and there were other people who were with me. And everybody who was there with me in the vision at the table was saying, I wonder what she's going to put her chips on. There was a plane that looked like a luxury plane in one part of the felt, a picture of it. There was this beautiful home with like an ocean view on one part. It's like 5 options. And then over here on this side, looked like to me these businesses. And then all the way to the right was money. But right here in the middle was a picture of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I had a stack of chips in the vision about this high. They were stacked up. I don't know what I was playing because I don't gamble. And I took and I pushed all my chips onto the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's face. And I said, I'm all in. I'm not going to sit back and keep questioning the vision and keep questioning the mission. I'm just going to move out. And I'm going to move on it. And I said, Allah, if you ain't got me, then I just ain't got it. Because I'm going for it. I believe and I see and I know this is you. And so anybody, hey Mika, anybody that want to talk about me, that want to say something, I didn't care. Didn't matter to me. Folks can say what they want to say. But I know the value of going after your vision and defying the naysayers and the people who are talking crap behind your back. And so what I was explaining to my client is I said, you got to push through that stuff. People are going to talk. People are going to have something to say. And you can't, not only do you have to push through it and ignore it, but you also have to push through it and not allow it to alter your plan. That's another big challenge, because a lot of times when people start talking about you, you alter your plan, you change up. Well, I'm going to do this, because now you start trying to prove to them who you are and who you that you're right. Don't do that. Don't alter your plan in any way. And don't try to prove to people who don't even have keen enough vision to see your dream. Don't try to prove to them that you're right. And I tell you something, you have to program yourself. And I tell people, program your children like this. I was programmed as a child in that way. I can think of every significant person in my life that was productive in my rearing. If I came home and said somebody was talking about me, my grandmother would say, well, you can show a nigga better than you can tell him. That was her response. My mother would have something to say. She always had a comeback. You came home saying, Ma, you know, all these people talking about me. She had a comeback. My father would have a comeback. My father would say things like, give him something to talk about then. Let's go. Give him something to talk about. And my mom had so many different sayings about it, but I was raised like that. Not to give no damn about what anybody had to say when I knew that it was something that I wanted to do that was from and of God. And I was trained that way as a little child. And so I tell people, train your children that way. Because so many children, my mother would literally, now I'm old school. I got whoopings when I was young. I don't know, y'all probably didn't get no whoopings, but we got the beat down for certain things. One of the things you got beat down for in our house was being a follower. If you came home and you had something that you wanted to do and you didn't do it because nobody else wanted to do it, belt to the backside. If you came home and you got in trouble for doing something, let's say you did something and you got caught, you busted, you in trouble. If you did it because you was following other people, belt to the backside. This is how I was raised. You didn't even get in trouble for doing what you did. My mother would get you for being a follower. I remember one time one of my cousins wanted to come by and spend the night. And I didn't really want her to come over. And I remember going to my mother and saying, well, Mom, cousin so-and-so want to know, can they come over and spend the night? And my mother didn't even look up from what she was doing. She said, do you want them to come over and spend the night? Don't ask me no questions about what she want. What do you want? And I had to get a whole lecture about accepting my own, being myself, not being worried about what somebody else was saying. Look, I used to have 4 eyes. I was skinny. I was this big. I was a bookworm. Got skipped a grade. Was always in these advanced Excel programs. I was goofy. I used to wear socks with flip-flops. I went through this Lisa Bonet stage where I was wearing and dressing like some kind of bohemian gypsy where nothing was matching. And people always talked about me. I remember when I got in college, they was talking about me so bad that it got all the way back to my mother in Omaha. And she called me. I know you're not going to let these niggas affect you. I said, no, Mom, I'm not tripping. But I was goofy, and I probably was worth them talking about. I was like a weirdo. But by the time I got in the nation and people started talking about me, it didn't even matter. I didn't care. I would sit there and sit through people lying, people making up stuff about me, people saying all kind of stuff. I just kept rolling. If I made a mistake, I sucked it up, figured out what I needed to fix inside of myself, and I kept rolling. So those of you out here who are impacted from people talking about you, or even are standing on the edge and not willing to dive in because you worried about what somebody got to say, you better get over it. People gonna always have something to say. Some days I have to jump out and be on camera and I don't look the way I want to look. I went through a period when I was building the hospital, despite doing literally CrossFit every day. The stress levels were so high, I had started gaining weight. And I didn't like the way I was looking. But I was getting all these interviews. I didn't shy back from the camera because I was looking chunky. I I said, it is what it is. They can call me fat. They can call me whatever. But I'm on a mission. I got something I'm doing. I got something that I'm doing that is of God. Allah put this in me. I didn't sit around and say, oh, I think I want to build a hospital. Allah did that, and he guided me every step of the way. So if at the end I was a little stressed out and I was looking chunky and people called me fat, I didn't care. I got right there in front of the cameras and did every interview I needed to do. Every single time. Some days I'd be working so hard, my hair wasn't looking like I wanted it to look. I got out there anyway. And over time, you know, your girl had to get herself together, had to work on the hair or work on the weight and all of that stuff. And I kept the same exercise regimen. But I think thank you, sis. I think my stress levels, the cortisol levels in my body was so high, I was fat. At least to me. But I didn't care. I'm gonna sit my fat ass in front of this camera and tell you how I built this damn hospital is what I'm getting ready to do. And that's what I did. So as I just kept going, as we got the hospital built, and now I'm looking at, okay, it's time for me to transition, time for me to move out, start getting my body together. I'm still working out, still doing what I have to do, but now my body's finally reacting to it. I'm getting stronger and better and looking better. I had went through a period where I usually have pretty good skin, but because we were just dealing with so much, I started breaking out. And somebody said something about that. Somebody was like, man, you see them bumps on the side of her face? Yeah, I'm going to bring my bumpy faced fat ass out here and tell you how I built a hospital. You can talk about me, but when you see me 6 months from now, I'm going to still be somebody that followed her dream and followed the urging of Allah to build and develop this. So you can ask my experienced reps all day long, why you helping her and what's the problem. They started so many rumors about me when I first came back to Chicago. I just laughed. I just kept going because I'm going to still be beautiful. I'm going to still be fly. I'm going to still be fine. I'm going to still be smart as hell. You can't take that from me. You can't take my accomplishments from me. I ain't out here faking. So this is what I was telling my client. You got to sometimes go on a rampage for yourself. I ain't out here faking like most of these people. I got receipts for the stuff that I've done. I literally have built almost $500 million worth of businesses in my entire career. I got receipts for it. Places I've gone, places I've worked. I've been all around the world. I ain't never got on my knees and got no money. I've always gotten it through prayer and through work. So I just keep going. And I'm telling you, you got to keep going. Write down a list of things that are smart. Think about you that you've overcome, I should say. Some of you have overcome prison. Some of you have overcome molestation. Some of you have overcome attempts at being murdered. Some of you have overcome domestic violence. Some of you have overcome death and accidents and diseases. Listen, it's all the more reason why you need to get up and stand up and not worry about what nobody got to say. See, once you overcome certain big things, you shouldn't worry about what nobody got to say. If you sit here right here on this podcast or on this live and you just overcame depression and you just overcame cancer, there shouldn't be nothing nobody can say to you. If you know you've overcome some major obstacles in your life, that is your proof and your evidence that Allah is with you. So we got to get over this, y'all. Let's get out of this social media world where we're worried about what somebody say about us, and that's an easy way to control you. It's for for the enemy to come out, say something about you. They know you're going to do one or two things. You're either going to get shy, fall back, and not do what you're supposed to do, or you're going to go on a mission trying to prove that what they saying ain't true. Either way, it makes you calculable. It makes them able to calculate your behavior. That's what I mean. Either way, at the end of the day, you stay close close to your mission that God gave you. So if he gave you a mission, he gave you a vision, don't stop and pray and say, oh, show me more, show me more. Move out. Take one step towards him and he will come at you flying. Point blank, that's it. So that's my message for you all today. Stop tripping on people talking about you. Stop worrying about what folks got to say. Find a way to do what you know is right. Do the best that you can. In areas of your life where you know you need to improve, go to work on yourself. Study yourself. Be better and better today. I have a thing that I say each and every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. I'm not the same person I was this morning when I woke up. I'm better because of the experiences, because of my prayers. I spent this morning and had an amazing prayer session. So that made me a better person. That changed me. I'm not the same person I was when I woke up this morning. Because right after that, I had the most beautiful prayer and meditation and Holy Quranic reading that I've had in a while. So I'm not the same person. I had a call. I came out here in this beautiful weather to talk with a client, help them get over this very thing that I'm talking to you about today. So I'm just grateful. And I want you to be grateful too. So thank you all for chiming in. Peace and blessings. And I want y'all to stop worrying about what all these folks got to say. All right. So peace and blessings, family. All right. We reconnecting. We had got disconnected. I'm going to get off of here because it's getting nice and windy. And it's a nice wind and breeze. You know, one of the things I like to meditate to is breeze. It's nothing like meditating to breeze. So I'm going to do that for a few minutes. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you all later. A couple of you all who are on here, y'all got conference calls with me later. I'm going to do that. Let's see. Get your commemorative Elijah coin. Please support. If you want to make a donation, our Cash App is $Mo today. MOETODAY. And Thursday, I'll be back, inshallah, before Thursday. But Thursday night, we have the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. Saturday, Sajdah Saturday morning coffee talks. Somebody asked a question. Did I see the BET Awards? I saw about 5 minutes of it. And my ratchetness radar was too high. So I'm selective with my ratchetness. I can't have too much in one place at one time. I've actually been to the BET Awards a couple of times. I actually went the year that Prince passed because they were doing a dedication and Jennifer Hudson performed. That one was pretty music related and it was pretty cool. But Sunday, I don't know if I could have handled that. It's a little too ratchet for your girl. Too much ratchetness all in one place. And that's not being self-righteous, but it was just too much for me. I couldn't deal with it. So did I see it? I saw about 5 minutes of it. And that's about all I can handle. Like I said, I'm selective with my ratchetness. So no, I didn't stay on it. I saw 5 minutes. Somebody texted me and told me that Patti LaBelle was about to be on. I turned it back on, took a look at that, saw a couple performances after that, and I just kind of had to let it go. My ratchetness radar was too high. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all. See you soon.